Hey, John here. So when you want to learn a sequence like this, I find it best to break it down into more manageable sections and above all, really understand what you're doing. And once you understand what you're doing, you have a fighting chance to actually get to the bottom of what holds you back technically. And depending on your level, that can be the whole thing. Then you have a lot of work to do, but it can also be just one little part, and then it makes so much more sense to spend more time on that part of the chain that actually screws you up, instead of trying to play the whole thing over and over again and then spending way too much time on stuff that you actually already can do okay. And it's very hard to avoid that thing, and I still do it. But I really kick myself when I notice that I still go back to those bad habits. So I think if we all could just find what we're actually bad at and focus on that, we will improve much faster. So I'm gonna play this one slowly, and if you want the tabs, you have that available on my Patreon. So you start here, we're in G minor, and you're just gonna start it on the 15th fret. So just tag along here. So we basically have a 12-note sequence before it restarts again. And you can divide that into two groups of 6. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we just repeat that on each string group. In this last group, I just go like that so I can actually finish it. So that's using two groups of 6, but we can also do 3 groups of 4. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So and here's where you can really find the trouble spots. So if you try, for example, doing the groups of 4, because that's more granular, we're really getting into it there. Even though when you play it, you might feel it in groups of 6 or whatever, but as far as the technique goes here, just try to do it now in groups of 4. So then I would start by doing the first group of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And see if I can play that fairly quickly. And why I did the last note here, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1, is because I want to connect it to the next beat. Because if I only do this, that doesn't really tell the whole story when it comes to the connection here, right? So I like to do what I call X plus 1, where you play X is whatever the number of notes per beat is, and then I stop on the next beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that works. Then we can take the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so the next group was, and obviously now I could play this up to speed already, but this one doesn't feel as comfortable. That feels way more comfortable. So for me, if I wanted to improve this more, I could work on that. And there's several different ways you can do that. And one of the ways that I really like is what I call the looping technique, where this one fits right in there because you have basically a complete loop in itself. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we start on the same note again, so that the 5th note in this sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is the first note. So that's perfect for any type of looping sequence. So then I would do it like this. So I get 4 different loops, and why that is because I have 4 notes before it restarts again. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, Then I have the second note, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then we have 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I started these on all downstrokes now, and that's something I do generally if I'm working on just technique overall. But if this is a specific sequence that I want to learn because it's part of a solo or something, so I know I'm going to play it the same way every time, I would actually make sure that I start on the correct pick stroke. So in this case, the first one would be a downstroke. Now I need to start this on an upstroke, then on a downstroke, and then on an upstroke. So keep that in mind, you know, depending on what you're going to be, what the purpose is of whatever you're practicing. If it's going to be something that you just want to get an overall better technique, I would suggest that you can start everything on a downstroke in this case, and maybe do it again starting on an upstroke. Or if it's a specific lick that you're going to play the same way every time, it's better, I think, to make sure that you keep the picking and, you know, whatever articulations intact. So, so we have that. And obviously I wouldn't just do it here. I would either go through all the different positions of, sorry, we're in G minor. I would either go through G minor, in this case, in all the positions. I would do the same thing. And starting on the correct pick stroke, like I didn't do now, go to the next one. And so on. So you get the idea. Or you can simply just do it chromatically as well. So you start down here on the first fret and then move your way up one fret at a time after you've done all 4 loops. So that's something I really like doing. And then I go through the lick in the same fashion. But since this is a very, you know, it's a sequence, you're going to repeat. Once you get used to the first string group, you're probably not going to have that much issues going down to the next string group. It might be harder because of the hand positioning or whatever you're most used to, but in general, if you can get through the different picking stuff here that pops up, you should be good to go throughout the whole thing. Now, if you, for whatever reason, have trouble finding the exact spot where it breaks down, you can go even more granular. And then I would basically go like this. I would use the speed burst technique, whereas just add one note at a time. So we stick to this group again. I will just go. So I have a pause in between, so I don't want to go. I also make sure that I can actually pause everything. And I wouldn't practice with delay and stuff. This is just so the sound isn't so dry for the video. And then I add the third note. And then the fourth. And if I notice that I have some issues there, I would basically start from the note before the last note. So in this case, I stopped on 4 with an upstroke. Then I start from 3 with a downstroke and go. Because sometimes you might notice that, oh, it's actually the picking here that screws me up. Or that might be easy, but when you add the note before it, which in this case then would be 1, 2, so we're gonna have an upstroke on 2, down on 3, and then up on 4 again. So then it might feel way different. So that's the kind of weird thing when it comes to playing this instrument. Like you might be really comfortable just switching between 2 strings, but if you add, you know, 2 notes before that, or 2 notes after, or whatever, it might feel totally different. So that's why I think this building it up from 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, and so on is so effective, because you can really find what the issue is. And like I said here, even if you get to the end of this group, I mean, it's not that many notes, then you should still build it back again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we start on 4 and go 4, 5. And then if that works, I go 3, 4, 5. And then I would go 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I might find like, oh, that feels really awkward. Then I could work on that specifically. So that's, you know, you can just make sure that you spend some extra time on anything that feels a bit weird. But in general, just building it up to the end and then building it back from the end is a really helpful technique. Another thing that I like to do is to use accents. And I've talked about all these techniques in previous videos. So I'm going to link them in the description as well, so you can check them out for sort of a deeper dive, why they work and so on. And that would be, if we do groups of 4 again, just to keep it consistent, we'll just accent each group of 4 like this. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on throughout the whole thing. And then I would do it again, starting accenting the second note of each group of 4. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Then the third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, I'm going through the whole thing with these accents. And there's something about this accenting technique that's really effective. And I think it's because we really play the instrument with our brain and not our fingers necessarily. The fingers are involved obviously, but the brain sends the signals to the fingers. So the clearer we can be on what we're actually playing, the easier it's going to be to play it fluently. And by going through the accents in this way, you're actually giving your brain a chance to really super focus on each note of the sequence in a very practical manner. So I really like this way of practicing as well. But I do this generally when I want to play the whole lick and not just shortly repeating a loop. For loops, I would tend to use the looping method. So if you go to my Patreon, you have the tabs for this lick, but you also have the loops that I showed you in this example written out in the notations. You can get a better overview in case you confused for whatever reason. If you want a practice routine that works on your alternate picking, your ear training, and your fretboard knowledge in the same exercise, you can check out my new book, Modal Alternate Picking. It's $9, way underpriced. You get over 250 pages, and it's very structured and easy to just get down and start practicing right away. And also, if you want the guitar profiles, you can just email me. You have the email in the book as well. So with that said, hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.